Trafford on a 5.5-year contract, with United's youngster Keith Gillespie moving in the opposite direction. Since Newcastle's recent slump in form, there's been daily talk of transfer activity at St James's, but no one expected today's astonishing developments, least of all the fans who've been gathering at the ground all day.
When we got our font, right, and the front of that font was that the future of Newcastle. And Kevin, can I just please, you know, don't mind. The future of Newcastle, we are no longer a selling club, we are a buying club.
We are, but if a deal comes along whereby I as manager think I can take the club forward again, I've got to be allowed to do that, you know? I mean...
News travels fast, and so do the fans when a sensation like this breaks. Shocked and angry supporters wanted answers from Kevin Keegan. Just why had the club sold the most prolific scorer in its history? Inside, Keegan appreciated the fans' concern, but insisted it was a good deal for the club.
At the end of the day, I got Keith Gillespie and £6 million for Andy Cole. I'm sorry to lose him. I know the fans will be sorry, and maybe some of them won't forgive me for it. But my job as manager is to try and take this club forward again. And having thought about it for 4 days and analysed every sort of possible way in which I can benefit from that deal or lose from that deal, I've decided to go ahead with it, and I hope the fans will understand that. I'm sure there'll be some upset at me. Some might think it's a good deal.
Would you sympathise with them if they said, here we go again, Newcastle selling Cole, they sold Gascoigne, they sold Waddle, they sold Beardsley first time round?
Yeah, I would, if it hadn't been for the fact that we've proved beyond doubt over the last 3 years, to John Hall and the chairman, and the board, sorry, we've spent a fortune on players, and all this money will be spent on players, plus. I mean, I had the chance this week to sign a £4 million player without selling Andy Cole, and they backed me on that. So I don't think the fans should worry on that count. I mean, if they're upset about losing Andy because he's popular in that, I understand that. And, you know, I'm hoping that the players that are here and the players that come in can, you know, more than make up for his loss. I mean, that's the gamble I'm taking as manager. I understand what the implications are if it doesn't work out, but, you know, a manager's job is to make decisions. I've done that today, and I think it's for the good of the club in the long term. Short term, people will be disappointed, no doubt about it.
Cole was Newcastle's record buy back in March 1993, when Keegan brought him to St James's for £1.75 million from Bristol City. Last season, he scored 41 goals, breaking a club record. But this season, the goals have dried up with just 14 so far. As the storm over his departure continued at St James's this afternoon, Andy Cole was being ushered into Old Trafford as the country's most expensive player.
I was very shocked, to be honest. Like I just said, you know, I never thought they would sell me, not to another English club anyway. You know, but like the gaffer kept having a go at Mr. Keegan, like, and finally let me go.
What reaction do you think there'll be on Tyneside to the fact that you've gone?
There'll be a lot of disappointed people there. I think everyone knows that.
And what about yourself? I mean, there's been rumours that maybe you wanted to leave over a period of time. Is there anything in that?
I'm not having that. You know, people are entitled to think what they want to think, but I know I never asked for a transfer. You know, and that's, my conscience is clear.
Back at St James's, the air of disbelief continued, not only among the fans, but Cole's ex-teammates as well. Defender John Beresford admitted it had all come as a complete surprise.
Unbelievable. I mean, to be honest, we're coming after training and it was like, well, we thought it was just a big rumour. We're all having a laugh and joke about it, you know, usual things. Well, he hadn't scored for a while and all this and that, but, I mean, and then all of a sudden it started piecing together, you know, the jigsaw kept getting bigger, and then I went to the physio's room and Derek Wright got the call, and we were all giving him stick and that, and his face was deadpan, and then we knew there was something serious.
If I make a mess of it, you chant me to go. You know I'm to go. But I understand your problems. Leave it with us.
And there are sections of the fans who would hold Kevin Keegan to that. Let's hope it doesn't come to it. Well, despite his departure today, Andy Cole is certain of a place in Tyneside footballing folklore, following in the footsteps of Gallagher, Milburn and MacDonald. He arrived in the northeast, an untried, unproven and largely untrusted player. He's left as the most expensive footballer ever in Britain. The people people of Tyneside certainly took Cole to their hearts, and apart from the odd bout of homesickness, Cole himself seemed happy. He walked into St James's Park less than 2 years ago. His reputation then was more for trouble than goals, but his new manager had no doubts.
The mind boggles at what he could do in a side like ours.
He helped Newcastle's promotion to the Premiership with a goal a game in the run to the title.
What about this crowd? Brilliant, superb crowd, you know. I'd like to thank them in a big way for letting me settle down so quickly, you know. It's been brilliant.
But you can't wait for the start of next season now.
Can't wait. Cheers.
And when Cole got his first goal in the top flight, it was against his new club, Manchester United. The goals kept going in, and soon Goal King Cole was being seen as a player with a golden future. But at the back of their minds, his loyal band of followers always feared that Cole would not stay in the North East as long as his manager predicted. He would succumb either to the racist taunts his family had to endure watching him, or the ever-present homesickness. And when this led to a brief walkout from the club, Keegan made his position clear.
The club's bigger than any player here. There's not one player here who cannot be replaced. We've got the money to do it and everything.
That, though, seemed a temporary hiccup, and last year Cole scored more goals in one season than any previous Newcastle player. This, his second year in the Premiership, also started well, but an injury and Newcastle's recent slump raised questions as to just how good he is. Nevertheless, he continued to be adored by the majority of fans, who will be saved the sight of their hero playing in a different colour shirt on Sunday. For the tens of thousands of Newcastle United fans, this has been a day of high emotion, disbelief and disappointment for some, but for others, the hope that a new striker of international stature will help restore the fortunes of the team. And as Amanda Goodman reports, the market in Cole memorabilia is already gearing up for a change.
As the rumour machine sprang into action this morning, the fans flocked into the Newcastle United shop to find out if the news was true. Others braved the elements and went straight to St James's to find out if King Cole had really left the Newcastle throne. As confirmation came, there was disbelief.
You're joking. Oh, I'm upset about that.
Why?
Because I love Andy Cole to play for Newcastle, you know. I think he's doing great at the minute.
Well, we've just heard my son here, Lee, is just totally devastated about it, you know. I've just come home from work, and this is the face I've put up with, you know.
I think Newcastle's making good business, actually, because the last few matches, well, he hasn't done nothing, and I don't think he's been fit anyway, really, I don't know.
You don't think it's a huge loss?
No. There's better players than him around, I think.
And the boom business in Newcastle memorabilia was already gearing up for change.
I think Newcastle United will still be the top seller, but obviously Andy Cole's got a lot of loyalty, and yeah, I would imagine we'll do well off Man United as well.
Now, I believe in the last hour you've actually had a Man United Andy Cole strip printed.
Yes,
can you show that to us?
We heard about it. Darren, can you...
But now the burning question is who will be wearing the number 9 strip at St James's.
Well, with me in the studio to perhaps throw some clues that way is John Anderson, the former Newcastle and Republic of Ireland defender. First of all, John, there are those who think this is good business on Kevin Keegan's part. You're one of them, aren't you?
Yeah, I think it's a good bit of business. I mean, Kevin paid 1.75 for him. He's got £6 million back, plus a player in Keith Gillespie, who's rated at $1 million, but who I would rate at a lot more than at the time to see him this season. He's been absolutely superb.
Andy Cole's had a lean spell this season, but last season he was unstoppable. Strikers of that calibre are hard to come by, and as we've seen in the transfer today, extremely expensive. Where will Kevin Keegan go to replace him?
Well, that's a very difficult question, Steve, because, I mean, it just depends on who's going to be available. And once clubs know that Newcastle United are involved in the market, the price of these players goes up. I mean, I think you've got to be looking at Les Ferdinand. He was in for Armstrong as Crystal Palace, but the one who sticks out would be Matthew Letizia. I'd love to see Letizia in this Newcastle side. He's a quality player, scores some magnificent goals, and I think he'd be magnificent in the Newcastle side.
I mean, you know the football game inside out. It would be inconceivable, would it not, for somebody like Kevin Keegan to sell a player like Andy Cole without something up his sleeve, without somebody on the horizon?
No, there's no doubt that he wouldn't sell the likes of Cole without having some idea of what he's going to get. and I'd be very surprised that if he doesn't sign somebody within the next week.
There are fans, quickly John, who are bound to think we're returning to the old days of selling the Gascoignes and the Waddles. Do you see it like that?
No, not at all. Kevin's signings since he's been here have been absolutely superb. He's brought quality players in, he's brought the glory days back to Newcastle, and he wouldn't have signed Andy Cole if he didn't think it was the best thing for Newcastle United. Well,
John Anderson, thanks very much. John isn't finished because he will be moving across to Radio Newcastle for a special phone-in debate on Radio Newcastle starting at 7:05 tonight. You can join in by ringing our usual Northern Line number 091 232 6565, 091 232 6565. The lines are opening now.
If it doesn't work, you know, I know what the implications are. I know what the bottom line is.
The bottom line is that Andy Cole now plays for Manchester United.
Excited about things to come, and hopefully over the next 5 years.
Is it a shock?
A big shock. You know, I think it's a shock to you boys as well, because no one thought that Kevin Keegan would sell me like arch rivals Man United, but I'm looking forward to it.
Well, if Kevin knows what he's got, Kevin, you just trust him. You take his time in a sense, and it's how a shock like you.
A promise from the chairman that seemed to convince the majority of doubting fans at the team's training headquarters near Durham this morning. For the manager who'd actually parted with his prize asset, it was business as usual. He was making no comment at all, though, but Sir John gave him the full backing of the board.
Kevin's judgments have been impeccable over the years. We are where we are in the league because how he's, you know, got the squad right. I've always said, basically, that we'll always be a net purchaser of players. You've always got to go on strengthening. We've never moved from the premise that we want to be consistently, not just tomorrow, consistently over the next 20 years, one of the top 3 in the UK and one of the top 10 in Europe.
The shockwaves of Andy Cole's departure to Newcastle's arch-rivals at Old Trafford are still reverberating around the entire football world. The player's become a millionaire, but is it back to the bad old days on Tyneside?
You must surely understand, though, the fans' initial reaction, which says that the club sold the likes of Gascoigne, Waddle and Beardsley first time around,
Let me stop you there. That's been put to me on a number of occasions, and I'll answer it as I've always answered it. Those players were sold to pay for the debt of the club. Andy Cole hasn't gone to pay for the debt. Andy Cole, in the sense of process, said, well, we're going to be a net purchaser of players. This money's not going to pay off any debt. We may be able to Kevin, and he knows he's got funds available to buy players, and that's the whole thing. It's to strengthen the squad.
By the end of this morning's debate, Sir John had everyone on his side and was even joking about the possible arrival of the Brazilian star Romario at St James's Park. The only deal to be finished today, though, is for Keith Gillespie. The Manchester United teenager who was part of the Cole move had his medical this morning. The fans who turned up at Maiden Castle to watch training still have their reservations about the events of yesterday, but their team is in safe hands and still going places, according to the chairman. And how about this? You don't often see a football club chairman applauded off his training ground.
Well, it finished very nicely there, Peter, but remember, you were sold for 1.9 million to clear off debts. Are you convinced that all this money is going back to strengthen new teammates for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. I think the boss has said that, and I'll be very surprised if it's not. I mean, he even made a bid for Chris Armstrong last week, so we believe, and he made that probably before the Andy Cole thing came about, so I'm sure there's money to spend, and I'm sure he'll spend it in the right way.
Kevin's already said that he possibly wants to change tactics, even not just bring one player in, a couple of players, to change the style of play, perhaps a more robust standard. Do you think that's the way it's going to go?
Well, I think if you look at the teams that are maybe heading the Premier League, the likes of Blackburn and Manchester United with Mark Hughes and Alan Shearer, you know, they're two of that type, and if you can do that and change the style a little bit, but we still get the right results, everybody will be happy.
What kind of an impact will this have on the rest of the players at the club, especially going into 2 important games against Man United and Blackburn?
I don't think it'll have that much impact. I think at the end of the day, we know the boss has made the decision what he feels is right for the club, and we've all got to believe in that, and I'm sure in time that'll be proven right.
Do you think Alex Ferguson's got value for money?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I mean, he is at a club that can afford to pay $7 million for players, and if you're going to pay $7 million for players, Andy Cole is one of the best around. You know, I think he's always been a great goal scorer, and I think he'll prove that with Manchester United. You know, he never let this club down. But $7 million is a lot of money to this club, and if we can buy 2 or 3 players with that money, it's going to be better for us.
Thanks very much for the moment, Peter.